Okay. I am showing, hopefully I'm showing on my screen upcoming events and news. Amy, thank you for throwing this slide together. Okay, we've got a few more folks. Oh, I'm so glad to see we got a partner from ISDA with Sandra Hopperth joining. It's about 1:30. So I'm going to go ahead and admit everybody that's hopping on right now. Hi. So for those of you who are joining us, I invite you to turn cameras on. Definitely want this to be a little bit of presentation, a little bit of back and forth, but mostly a conversation. We're in a really interesting time now in terms of federal policy. So let's chat. We are going to be recording this, as you've probably seen when you joined. So those that can't be here today, we'll share this with them. Sandra, thank you for joining from ISDA. I really wanted partners to be here since I do get a lot of questions from partners about, hey, how did it go in DC? Because it's, again, so much is going on right now. So Sandra serves the northern, would you say like the northern, like kind of linear third-ish of the state?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm the top hat of the state.
We need to get you a cool hat. Yeah,
Can't
so
get
you can
my
say like,
Yes.
earbuds to
I
work.
am the cool hat, the top hat of the state. Yeah, I love that. I love that. There we got Mark, our board president here.
No
Hey
earbuds.
guys,
What was that?
I was just saying hey.
Hello. Oops. Okay. Cool. So we'll give everybody a few more minutes to start. For those that are on the call, let's go ahead and introduce ourselves. I will go in the order on my screen. Well, actually, well, trying to think. We got a couple of folks who are walking around here, so I'll just call folks out on the screen as you appear to me about your name, your relationship with the State Association of Soil and Water Districts, or your own local soil district, whether you're a staff or supervisor, and what county you're calling in from. So Eric Scheidler, you're actually up first for me.
Great. Yeah, Eric Shideler. I'm the executive director for Vermillion County Soil and Water Conservation District. One of the lucky participants to go out with the association and meet with legislators in Washington, D.C. I also serve as the treasurer for the National Association of Conservation District Employees and get to represent the over 7,000 employees across the nation as well. So it's wonderful to be able to take the voice of conservation to Capitol Hill on a couple of different fronts.
Yeah, 7,000. I think, Eric, when we were out in DC, that was one of the first times I'd heard that 7,000 district conservation or like, yeah, soil and
District
water
employees, yeah, and
district
that number, I
employees.
mean, that might be a little low, but that's what we
Yeah,
use because that's best data we have. So
yeah, yeah. So always wonderful to include that employee voice when we go to DC. Miss Samantha Miller.
Hi, I'm Samantha Miller. I am a supervisor on the Hamilton County Soil and Water Conservation District. I am also Assistant Associate Deputy of the North
Up there. North.
Midwest something region. It's very important to me. And I was excited. This was my first trip to DC on behalf of the association, so it was a great contribution.
Amy, could you just go ahead and introduce yourself and share the special milestone you're celebrating?
Oh, so I'm Amy Word, Director of Communication and Member Programs with the State Association of Soil and Water Conservation Districts. And yesterday was the finish of my 10th year with the association. So as of today, I'm starting my 11th year.
Yeah, awesome, awesome.
Glad to
And
be here.
yeah, you're lovely to work with. I super appreciate that partnership. Sandra.
I'm Sandra Hoffarth, District Support Specialist with ISDA, covering the top 18 counties of the state.
All right. Ken Gunkel. Ken Gunkel, I think your audio is on. I think your video is on. Would you like to introduce yourself? He's working on it. So Ken is our NACD alternate rep. So alternate representative for our National Association of Conservation Districts. He is also an associate super, or no, the proud vice chair of the Dearborn County Soil and Water Conservation District. And Troy Hattery, I'll turn it over to you.
Troy Hattery, State Association Treasurer from Miami County, Associate Supervisor.
Awesome. Thank you for being here. Marc Roberts.
Hey, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
All right, sorry, I shut my video off real quick. I caught a couple more calves. Yes, currently serving as your state association president. Glad to do it. Went on this trip and learned a lot and excited to share about it.
Yeah, good luck with those calves. I know others are lambing right now too. They're depending on where you are. So Tanya Williams. You can.
Yeah,
Miss
I'm with
Ed-
Scott.
oh,
I'm with Scott County Soil and Water.
okay, and staff or supervisor for the benefit of all.
I am the district coordinator. There's just one of me.
Yeah, yeah, Department of One. I know
Yes.
I know what that's like. And Miss Elgin.
Hi there. I'm the district coordinator in Orange County SWCD.
Oh man, we love all of our counties. Orange County is especially beautiful. Mr. Tosh.
Hello, I'm Jacob Tash. I'm with Porter County Soil and Water Conservation District, and I'm the project manager.
Talk about a long and skinny state, everything from Orange County to Porter County. Miss Pash. Oops. All right, so we got another Northwesterner. Rachel Pash is at Lake County, and Miss Davenport.
I am a Resilient Indiana technician, so I work for the state association in that program, and I cover Marion, Hamilton, Hancock, Madison, and Delaware counties. And today I was actually in Delaware County. I'm just leaving a cover crop field day and driving back to the office.
Oh, cool. Thank you. And Mr. Thomas.
Good afternoon. My name is Jared Thomas. I am the Conservation Compliance Chief for the Farm Service Agency. Glad to be here.
Thank you, Jared, for being here. I know things have been a little wild at the federal level. So hopefully this provides a bit of a boost to morale. And Ken, I introduced you on behalf of yourself, so I hope that's all right. Well, let's go ahead and
Yeah, I apologize. I had a little late getting onto the Zoom, so.
No, we've only got a few folks here today, so we can have some really good discussion. If we had really quite a lot of people here, it'd be more of a presentation kind of focus and talking at you instead of talking with you. So we do have a kind of smaller group here today. So if you have questions, if you want to dive into anything, even if we go off track from like the DC trip, happy to do that. So thanks all for taking some time to do some introductions. You can see my screen here. I'm going to turn over Amy real quick to go over some upcoming events and news while we got you all on the call.
Yeah, so I just wanted to highlight a few things. Some you may have heard about and some you may not have. So nominations are now open for River Friendly Farmer Award, and they are open through June 5. So you've got about 6 weeks yet to send nominations in. Information about that award are on the website, and districts are able to nominate up to 2 river friendly farmers each year. So we sort of culminate receiving the nominations and putting that whole program together. And then we have a really great award ceremony at the State Fairgrounds on Tuesday, August 18th. So that's coming up. Something new you probably haven't heard about yet because we're in the beginning stages of planning it, but we're going to have a Canva training for districts. Canva is an online program or platform that you can use a lot of times for publications, social media, graphic design, that type of thing. I know some districts use it already. Some do not and are interested. And so we thought we would have sort of a graphic design / Canva training for districts to help people get started or learn something new about that. So watch for more details about that coming up. Just in case you haven't heard, there is an online webpage now for supervisor training. We, together with the Indiana State Department of Ag's lead, have put together a whole bunch of modules and trainings, videos, resources for supervisors. And that's for new supervisors as well as those experienced who might need a refresher on some of the roles and responsibilities of being a district leader and supervisor. So I want to make sure you guys know about that, and you can get to that website or that webpage through the ISDA website. And then last but not least, just want to make sure you save the dates for the upcoming IASWCD conference, again in downtown Indianapolis. That will be held on the 24th through the 26th. And more details coming soon about that. You can watch the annual conference page on our website for updates. As we have them, we'll post them up there. Any questions, feel free to reach out to me. Thanks, everyone.
I just want to give a quick shout out to Sandra and our DSS colleagues, her DSS team, for putting together that board leadership program. We'd really like to submit this to the National Association of Conservation Districts down the line. And looking at what Indiana has been doing in the soil and water conservation district space nationally, I think this could possibly get some recognition down the line. So I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing here. Check that link in the chat if you have not heard of this yet. So let's get back to what the purpose of this call is. So the DC fly-in, this is an annual event for the National Association of Conservation Districts and your state association of soil and water districts as well. Many organizations across the country have DC fly-ins, and right before we head into June budgeting season at the end of June session, it's really a critical time of year to be doing these fly-ins when we do it in at the end of end of March, yeah. So I did learn a little bit about why we do the timing this way. Look at my notes here. We met with almost all of our members of Congress with the exception of Representative Mervan. So for those of you in the Northwest portion of the state, Representative Mervan's staff did not find time to meet with us, which I thought was actually a little bit disappointing, especially since Representative Mervan is on the Ways and Means Committee. However, I know that he's very active in his district. So if you have an opportunity to meet with him or any of his staff, please let me know. And if you need materials or talking points, please let me know. Other than that, we got to meet with all of our other members of Congress, including both of our senators, either in person with Senator Young and two representatives or two staffers with Senator Banks. We also met with the U.S. Global Leadership Coalition, which is more of an international focused body that wants to really advance farmer prosperity here in the States, such that it actually, the aid or the assistance that we send abroad increases domestic security and also increases farmer prosperity. So that's kind of nuanced. It's kind of high level stuff, but we did get to meet with them. We also met with the vice president of policy with American Farmland Trust, who's basically the Farm Bill lives in his brain. And so that was really, really, really cool. And I can share more about that down the line. There's a couple of line items in there that I'm keeping a close eye on. And we also got to meet with our, we would have called them our regional conservationists in previous administrations. Now they're called assistant chiefs, Mr. Walt Whitcomb, as I mentioned earlier. And Mr. Whitcomb was very, very impressed by the Indiana delegation's presentation to him. He later went out to visit Kenny Kane's farm in Montgomery County and then Ethan Truax's farm in Hendricks County this past Monday. So just over a week or so from today. Very impressed. We really talked a lot about the need for more capacity for NRCS to meet with producers and address technical assistance needs on the ground. So more to come on that. And I'm going to try and reel in my desire to get into the weeds on things and really promote or push forward the folks that went with me on this trip. So actually, Ken Gunkel, is your audio working now?
I don't know. You tell me.
Yes, sir. Okay, we're good to go. We're good to go. So Ken, this was your first time going to DC on a trip like this, and maybe your first time to DC in 15 or so years. So I guess how would you describe your experience and what were your takeaways?
A lot of walking, a lot of standing, a lot of talking, a lot of listening. I felt like you all prepped me really well about all those different things, including to wear comfortable shoes, and also to try to scout the room for some place to sit if I needed to. I thought that the interaction with Senator Young was excellent. We had a good chance to chat with him, like you said, in person, one-on-one. The other people that we got to meet with, I think that we had some talking points that we wanted to drive home, and particularly with the Ohio River Basin Alliance. And so I thought that they were very willing to listen to us. They had some comments. I'm not going to say they had questions, but they did have some comments about different things, and that was led to good discussion. So, I asked the question during one of our evening sessions when it was just the delegates that were together. So, how do you measure the impact of this fly-in? Because it was my first one. And I don't know that it's quantifiable, but I think that it's very important to have the exposure for us with them and them, for them with us. So those are my top of mind things that I can say. The only other two things I will add is that Liz does an excellent job organizing everything. It's good to have Eric there, who has been around the block a couple times to show me around. And as most of you know, I'm kind of known for signature of wearing a hat, and that's so that he could spot me and find me, which he did an excellent job. And then also, I learned a lot. Like Samantha is a political junkie. She kind of knows all the ins and outs of all the different places that we were going to and the people that we were meeting. The other thing that Samantha clued us in on is that she was a mascot in college. That we had no idea about that. I wish that she would have brought her uniform. That probably would have gotten some attention. But again, I thought it was a great time. I had to miss the last day, and I'm sorry for that. But the part that I was there for, I really enjoyed and appreciated how everything went.
Yeah. So I thank you, Ken. So the Ohio River Basin Alliance that Ken is mentioning, some of you, maybe in Northwest Indiana, you might not have heard much about this. Those in the southeast portion and southern portions of the state definitely have. The Ohio River Basin Restoration Program Act. I had to work really hard to memorize all that because it's very bland words. But this would, if passed, it would bring somewhere between $300 to $350 million to the Ohio River Basin. 80% of Indiana's water drains into the Ohio, and this act would actually provide a lot of funding for restoration, economically, environmentally, recreationally, however you want to define recreation, it would do that. So if you are working with the GLRI, the Great Lakes Restoration Initiative, or the MRBI, Mississippi River Basin Initiative, or Restoration Initiative, like these sorts of structures that we're already seeing with the Great Lakes and with the Mississippi, we would just bring those to the Ohio. And one of the talking points we used was like, we're sending all of these dollars to the Great Lakes, to Lake Tahoe, to Puget Sound, to the Chesapeake Bay. Why aren't we bringing these to the Ohio River Basin right here in the heartland to restore these waters and make these places an ever greater place to live? So Senator Young of Indiana and Representative Houchin of Indiana are two of the lead sponsors in the Senate and the House side for this bill. So we really tried to talk up the opportunity and the need for this bill to pass. Some of the pushback, some of the opposition that we've seen from this bill are coming from the barge or waterway operators on the Ohio. They're concerned that this bill, which is non-regulatory, they're concerned that down the line, this bill might become regulatory. And so they're kind of all upset about this. So I know Ken has worked a lot with barge operators on the Ohio. So he's had some of those conversations, but that was just one of those big federal bills that we were talking about. I was disappointed.
Can I add something to that, Liz?
Yes, sir.
So, obviously the barge operators are giving pushback, but the barge operators, again, are pretty astute in that they are working with their main customers, and you can imagine what's being pushed on the Ohio River on inside those barges are things like corn and soybeans and petroleum and aggregates, et cetera. And so they're getting those groups to also push back against this bill, which is kind of unfortunate. And that if you think about that, those people, the corn providers and the soybean providers, their customers are our landowners. And so it's like you're kind of, biting off your nose to spite your face here, and that we hope to be able to get this money to be able to help the landowners that grow the things that go inside those barges. That's all I wanted to add.
Yeah, I appreciate that insight. And with this bill being so top of mind, having somebody from a county that's really right on the Ohio there and knows the barge operating business like Ken does was really, really wonderful. So that was just one of two federal pieces of legislation or federal bits that we talked about. I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Eric Shideler to talk from like a staff and NCDEA perspective. This is the third year that you and I have got to go on this trip together. So what was your experience this year? What are your takeaways?
It was, I echo a lot of what Ken said as far as, I do give you a lot of kudos for what a wonderful job you do putting this 3 days together. It's not easy to get into all of the offices and to make those schedules work, but we do it. And I will say that it's recognized throughout our conservation world that Indiana does a really good job when we go out to Washington, D.C. We had I had some conversations with some folks from other states, and I told them, I said, we hit all 11 or 10 out of the 11 legislators that are out there in one way or another, and they're like, how did you manage to get that? And it's just like, it's relationship building. It's starting early, being persistent, and being very flexible with, we had a couple times where, staffers had something come up, we had to rearrange, and it was no problem. We just did it. So I do say that first and foremost, that I do appreciate, Liz, all the work that you put in ahead of time to go out and make those visits so smooth. The other thing is, Ken talked about, what is the what's the impact? What is the measurable impact, or what are we going to see? And again, it's not something that you can necessarily quantify as a widget, but it is going into some of those offices now. And luckily, some of those staffers are long-term staffers, and they know us. And we can catch up, and we can, we've built that rapport and that common ground, and we can spend a few minutes, just chit-chatting about life and things like that, and then get into the meat of what we're there for. And I think that really helps our case tremendously, because they know we're serious. They know that we're not coming just to complain or to, ask for pie in the sky kind of things. We're there to be a resource. We're there to provide them with information, but we're also there to bring legitimate concerns. And, we understand how their offices work. And they're, it was funny. In the course of a day, the amount of people and topics that those people, that those staff members interact with, we were going in talking about conversation, and right behind us was a group of dentists going in. So, talk about a huge paradigm shift. That's my cat. Say hello, Scorby. Talk about a paradigm shift for these folks. So to be able to go in and give very succinct, concise information, go in, talk about what we need to talk about, and then leave them with some background information, but also say, listen, we understand that later on, if you have questions or something comes up and you need a refresher, they also have our contact information. And I know that is from time to time utilized from those offices. So I think just having a presence there in those offices, and then being able to come home and talk to our local folks, in our local congressional districts and our local people, and say, hey, we met with so-and-so out in DC. This is what we talked about. Also want to bring this to your attention here, so that, as a group, as a whole, they're hearing the same stories, not only out there, which, really close to our legislator, but also at home in the district. And then they can, if they've got different counties coming to them on a local level and talking the same things, that's also going to help drive home the points that we're out there making. So, it is about relationship building. It is about just having a presence and them knowing who we are and what we're all about, and that, we're not there to make their lives horrible. We're there to be resources. We're there to help educate, but we also want them to know we have needs, we have concerns, and, we want to make those known as well. And we want to work with you for the best possible outcome, no matter what that might be. So I just appreciate the opportunity to be able to go out, and talk about these different issues. I know Liz is going to get into it here in a little bit, but, Farm Bill was a big thing because it had just come out of the House Ag Committee. So on the House side, there was a lot of Farm Bill talk, and everybody seemed really happy with what came out of that committee. It was a bipartisan. It came out of the committee bipartisan. And so we were very happy with the conservation title. And, we were able to talk about that and all of the opportunities that, conservation is going to get some increased funding. We were able to talk about the opportunities that's going to bring back to Indiana so that we can get conservation on the ground. But we also talked about the need for people to be able to do that work, and the importance of, it's great to have this money, it's great to have these opportunities, but if we don't have people in the counties, boots on the ground, able to work with landowners and get this done, it's really kind of silly to have that money out there if we can't get it implemented. So that was another one of our talking points that we really brought home, is that, we appreciate, that increase, but we also need help implementing those dollars that they're going to give us. So just a couple thoughts from my end.
Thank you, Eric. I will also say Eric's wearing a sweatshirt right now, but he was in full suit and tie while we were out there.
I only get to do that a few times a year, so I gotta break them out when I can.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm going to turn over to Marc Roberts and then Sam Miller, and then I'll talk a little bit
Sorry,
about other
Liz.
things.
I hate to be
Well,
this person, but
oh, you got to run.
I have a 2 o'clock. But let me
Okay.
just say that this was an incredible experience, and I think all of the folks in the staff offices really appreciated how organized we were, and I really want to sing your praises. I want everyone to know that I had a meeting with a former senator just kind of for fun, and they asked for a copy of our agenda, and he said, "Now that's how you do a fly-in." So this is great I mean, it's a testament to Liz. I want to sing her praises from the top of the dome. Um, Super proud to be a part of this. And I think a lot of these staffers, they're 22. They didn't know that the SWCD even existed, right? So we were able to be a resource to them and be a partner, and they really understood our mission when we left. So super excited about all of that. And I'm really sorry that I have to leave.
Oh no, I should ask you first.
I've lost control of my calendar completely. So,
Sam, thank you for being here. Love having you on the trip, and we'll catch up another time. Bye.
I don't know how to leave because it's Zoom. There it is. Okay. Bye.
Bye. Marc Roberts, you're up.
Yeah, so this is my third or fourth fly-in, but it's been 5 or 6 years, I think, since I've gone before. And like everybody said, they've already talked about our main talking points and everything. But one of the things that kind of struck me is there was one noticeable absence from when I've done it before. Well, two actually. One, we did not have our state conservationist with us, and that's a little disappointing because a lot of times they can kind of provide their perspective. I know Liz, like everybody said, did an awesome job setting everything up, and I know she communicated with Damaris before we went, but it was just kind of it's something that I noticed was different from the times I'd gone before. And the other one's Gene Schmidt, and Gene was like the guy that did these, and he was always so comfortable and confident, and kind of a mentor for the rest of the group. I'll tell you what, Sam rivals him. Sam is awesome in those meetings. So if we're voting on folks to send again, I'd try to get her out there. But it was great. Learned a lot. One thing Sam mentioned, they're like 22 or 23. When I went before, I was in my 30s. Now I'm in my 40s, and they all look like fetuses. They're tiny, tiny children out there working in DC, taking notes. But it might just be my perspective. But some were really in tune. I'll say Baird's office in particular. And I've known for a while that they've connected with NACD. So even if we're not necessarily connected, constant communication with them, I know that they're connected with the national organization and can get some answers that way on our behalf. And yeah, it was interesting. Learned a lot, and it was a fun trip.
Yeah. Thanks, Marc, for coming. I didn't like having that perspective of like, as we get older, everybody else gets younger, right?
Something like that.
Funny how that works out. So outside of the Ohio River Basin Restoration Initiative, oh gosh, Program Act, Ohio River Basin thing, we also talked a lot about the Sentinel landscape in southern Indiana. So for those of you that are here from southern Indiana or cover the state, this is a really cool partnership with the Department of War, Department of Defense, however anyways, we're going through changes. So Department of War and the state association and all of our soil and water districts in that partnership or in that landscape are all part of this. And I came back, this was of significant interest to many of the staffers. They had never heard of Sentinel landscapes before. And the National Coordinating Committee for the Sentinel landscapes across all the country are going to be coming to Indiana, to our landscape here, again in the southern third of the state, for a tour in May. And I was like, what a great opportunity to invite our staffers, our legislators, to learn about the connection between military readiness and conservation. And so I've invited, I think 5 folks so far, 5 offices so far. 3 threw up their hands immediately, and I'm waiting on another couple or so folks to get back on whether they'd like to join this tour. So immediately following our tour in DC, we're already getting folks engaged in conservation on the ground, that connection with the Department of War and military readiness. So I'm really excited about that. The last thing, I know Farm Bill is always something in the background, but we haven't had a Farm Bill since 2018. And that 2018 data, the baseline for 2018 Farm Bill, that came from 2012. So we are very, very, very out of date on what's going on, like what's going on in the Farm Bill right now, and not having that NRCS presence, not having somebody there to provide technical information about NRCS programs, it was definitely felt. So although we primarily focused on these more immediate things like the Ohio River Basin Restoration Program Act and the National Coordinating Committee for the Sentinel Landscape here in Southern Indiana, which by the way is the largest in the country, we talked a little bit about the Farm Bill, and we mostly just emphasized that we need a Farm Bill and we need to maintain and increase the conservation title in the Farm Bill. So when we were meeting with one of the VPs for policy for American Farmland Trust, he brought up this section, I dropped in the chat, section 2302, State Assistance for Soil Health. I'll throw it up on the screen here as well. So State Assistance for Soil Health Act, or Act of subsection, sorry. Until I'm not a lawyer. But basically this would enable, as I read it, it would enable federal funding to match or otherwise support state funding for soil health programs. So we haven't passed a Farm Bill yet, as far as I know. But this could be huge. Illinois already has a similar program that's already in place. We'll kind of stop right there. Illinois has another program already in place called Fall Covers for Spring Savings that the state puts a good amount of money for, or puts about puts a good amount of money towards. So something to keep on your radar. I don't know if you guys can tell, I'm a little bit more wonky right now than I am presentation like focused. So sorry if you're kind of mixing up my words here and there. I'm trying to download and then offload a lot of information to you all. So let's go ahead and stop right there. I think we've heard from everybody that went on the fly-in with us. We went over some of the high level things that we talked about, some of the information that we gleaned, the experience in general. What questions do you all have? Also, Laura Fribley, thank you for joining us. I invite curiosity. There's no such thing as a dumb question. We're all here to be educators and learners in our own way. Okay. So nothing. So does anybody want to make any fake $2 bets on whether we'll get a Farm Bill this session? John, you came off mute. Did you have a question or a comment?
Oh, I just want to make a comment, just that you do an excellent job of organizing all this. And, the follow-up with our Representative Houch, and, I've met her a couple of times. I've been out to her office in Washington, D.C., so I'm still having communications with her. So we're keeping in touch in some ways. So,
And I think one of Representative Houchin's staffers here in the district, I think they're going to go on the tour of the Sentinel landscape here in a couple of weeks or a few weeks. Okay. What else?
He's actually in town in Dearborn County on Thursday evening for a fundraiser.
Well, isn't that an opportunity?
And
Yeah.
she'll be with our state senator Maxwell and
Okay.
Representative Bascom.
Okay. Also very important folks at the State House.
Mhm.
Absolutely. Are you planning on attending? I guess I don't need to ask that on record.
I'm planning on it.
Okay. Cool. I'm gonna go ahead and turn off, or Amy, if we could turn off the recording and maybe we can have a, yeah. Sometimes